Super Rugby Power Rankings for round 8. There's a fair few teams who are looking pretty bad right now and a few teams who are looking pretty decent. Yeah, everyone's pretty much moving around except for one team who stays put. But yeah, we'll go through these, a bit of the reasoning behind them. And as always, you guys can let me know your thoughts. 15th and down one place are the Sunwolves. It's a pretty big loss they had to the Rebels after a good win, so it's another one of kind of one step forward, perhaps two steps back for the Sunwolves. The fact that their future prospects, well, they don't look good, do they? So perhaps that's running on the mind of some of the guys whose contracts are coming up. But either way, it's another loss for the Sunnies, and they go on to a bye, a much-deserved bye, so hopefully they recoup and come out better for it. In 14th and down one spot, I've never seen them this low on my power rankings before, the Highlanders. I think their last win was in week number 2. There's been a bye in there, and they've had a cancelled game. But yeah, it's not been the best for the Highlanders, so really desperate to get back to winning ways ASAP. It doesn't get any easier because they're playing the Crusaders, so we will see how they go. 13th is the Brumbies. The Brumbies, not quite as bad as the Highlanders in terms of their last win, but their last win was week 5. So another team who's gone on a bit of a dry spell. Admittedly, they had the bye this week gone, so there's nothing much doing with them, but other teams around them have moved, so they have dropped 1. A bigger loser this week and down 4 spots are the Waratahs. My daughter is crying in the background. She may be a Waratahs fan, but yes, the Waratahs, I think they've only had 1 win in their last 4 games, so it's not been the best run for them. Coming across the ditch here to New Zealand wasn't going to be easy. They did give it a good crack, but realistically, that loss with the Sunwolves combined is making the season look pretty poor at the minute. Next, and in 11th, the Stormers. The Stormers are on a 3-match losing run, and likewise they are plummeting down my power rankings. Admittedly, their losses are all away, so you kind of give them a bit of leeway because the touring is always pretty tricky. But yeah, you can't be going 3 losses in a row, and they are paying a bit of the price there. Next, and the big winner this week is the Jaguares, up 5. I had them last. Yeah, up 5. So their record's not that much better than the others, to be fair. They've only had this 1 win recently. They've had a bye mixed in with a close home loss to the Chiefs. They had a close loss in South Africa, and they did have a big walloping at one point as well. So this most recent result is the only thing that really kind of saves their day. None of these teams won at the weekend. The Jaguares were the only ones to do it, so that gives them that kind of most recent win, which just pips them. Like, all these teams are kind of much of a muchness. And yeah, the Jaguares getting that most recent win, which was away. They were predicted to lose over the Bulls, so that kind of gives them a bit of credence to go a bit higher. But I'll tell you what, it's not by a whole lot. The Chiefs, they had a bye. Did I say the Brumbies had a bye? Did the Brumbies had a bye? No, the Brumbies lost to the Crusaders. They didn't have a bye, but it's almost like a bye because they rested half their players. Yeah, not too much doing for them in Christchurch. They did have a good first half, though. Chiefs had the bye, and they are kind of benefiting from other teams losing. So, yep, 1 up for the Chiefs. They've been in decent form. We'll see if that continues. In 8th, the Bulls are a massive, massive loser here. It's interesting the difference a week makes because their record goes from kind of 50-50 over the last 4 games to now it's 1-4 when combined with a bye. So that home loss to the Jaguares really hurts. They're becoming kind of like the Sharks in that they're a Jekyll and Hyde team and you're not quite sure what they were going to do. Someone did mention in the comments that they kind of snatched defeat from the jaws of victory in that game, and perhaps that's kind of true. So yeah, the Bulls need to knuckle down and yeah, get some consistency. 7th are the Reds. I don't know that they've ever been this high, and I must say thank you to Ben for sending through this Reds flag. That just arrived recently. Thank you, Ben, for the Reds flag. It is appropriate that the Reds are up here in 7th the week that your flag arrives. Because, yeah, man, they've won 3 of their last 4. So the Reds are actually looking pretty decent. Who would have thought that? They're a young team. I guess kind of success breeds confidence, so we'll see how far they can take it this season. The Lions are another kind of big loser. They are down from the top row, down 4 spots, and that loss they suffered was just a shellacking, wasn't it? It was really disappointing. I don't know if anyone really saw that kind of margin coming in Joburg. They just did not show up. So, yeah, some of you guys mentioned when I had them in the top row that they're kind of not the real deal, and perhaps this is just one week where they got a bit exposed. On the contrary, the Sharks, who have been a Jekyll and Hyde team thus far this season too, they are up for it. It was a big win, so confidence-boosting win for them. It's just the consistency. The South African Conference is just anybody's game because nobody can string a big set of results together. So the Sharks, I've said it before, they could beat anybody on their day, but likewise they could lose to anybody because they are just very unpredictable. When it clicks, it clicks. You'll notice my Blues still aren't on here yet because the Blues are up another 2 spots. They have definitely never been this high on my power rankings. The Blues up 2 spots. 4 wins in a row for the Blues. They've beaten the New Zealand team among that. Sure enough, they've had a fair few home games and now they go 3 games away. So that will be a truer test of where the Blues are at. But right now, the Blues are in pretty good form. The top row. Hurricanes are in 3rd. They are up 2 spots. They were pretty fortunate to get that away win over the Highlanders. But man, not many teams have gotten wins over the Highlanders in Dunedin. I forget how many games they said it had been. It was in the teens as to how many games the Highlanders had won in a row down at Forsyth Bar. So for the Hurricanes to be that team that cracks that record of theirs, I guess says something for where they're at. But then against the Crusaders, the Hurricanes look pretty poor. So that either speaks to their inconsistency as well, or perhaps just how far above the Crusaders are from the rest of us. But yeah, that means the Rebels are at 2. Now, the Rebels are dominant in their conference. They are dominating the Aussie conference teams without question, but away from home, they were pretty average. So that's something that Dave Vessels is going to need to fix because when it comes to finals time, you're definitely going to have to play someone from out your conference at some point, and you can't be only getting wins over Aussie conference teams. So something for them to work on. But still, they've got a good back line. Forwards are pretty decent. I worry about their front row sometimes, but even that seems to be on the improve of late. It could just be the opposition they've been playing, but yep, 2nd for the Rebels. And Crusaders had a surprising first half against the Brumbies, the game which apparently I almost blocked from my memory. But yeah, the Crusaders, they still look beatable, but not by much. Like, how many of you were thinking at halftime of that Brumbies game against the Crusaders that the Brumbies were going to go on and win it 7-0? No, I certainly wasn't. The Crusaders went to that real deal level in the second half, and I think most teams would struggle to compete with them there. It is nice to see them challenged. It is a nice thing about Super Rugby this season is that we do have so much parity. Teams who were a lot higher last season are now lower. And vice versa, the Blues are doing better, the Reds are looking good. The Lions aren't quite looking at that same level. The Bulls, from week to week, you never know. Like, they were a bit poor last season, but are looking improved. So, yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on your power rankings. How would you have them? Where do you see the teams at the moment? And, yeah, thanks again, Ben, for the flag. I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.